Alright, so today I'm going to be going over a basic no backlight issue on a board that was dropped off here. So one of the things you may notice is I have a new microphone here. One of the people on the channel, ZapRoDK, was actually kind enough to send me a DPA 4066 microphone for dirt cheap. It didn't have an XLR connector and the wireframe was all fucked up, but when you see what I paid for this microphone and what this microphone cost new, like, this is worth it. And the thing is, you may think that it doesn't sound much different, but when... like, the amount of work that you have to do to get this fucking piece of shit Shure microphone, this WH20, WH35, something like that, what you have to do to get this SM35 or whatever from Shure to sound like this is ridiculous. It's like a good 5 or 10 minutes just completely wasted in settings so that I don't sound like I'm, underwater. Alright, so let's start here. So the first thing I'm going to do on this no backlight board is measure for a short to ground on my multimeter. Trying to rearrange the desk so that you can see stuff better. That's not working out the way I want. Okay, so when I check for a short to ground on backlight output, I get 0.014 voltage drop, which totally means short to ground. Now, honestly, the amount of time it's going to take for me to run power through it is actually less time than it would take for me to simply remove the very few components that usually go bad in the backlight circuit, which is the LED driver, the LCD connector, or the output caps in that particular order. Now here, I'm going to guess that it's not the LCD connector because this was in water. This was do-it-yourself screen replacement. So what I'm going to start is, I'm going to start by removing the LED driver, so let's see if you can see that in the screen. That is very, very blue. We're going to adjust that in a second so it's not blue, so you can actually see shit. Okay. Focus. Focus, mofo. Okay. Get rid of that blue. Come on. Here we go. We're almost there. Oh, I have so little patience for this little click wheel on this camera. Ta-da! Perfect. Okay. Turn the air filter on because I don't want to inhale shit that fucks you up. I'm satisfied that that's ready to be removed. Now let's see if my short is gone. Again, the other reason I don't like running power through to find the short here is because when the short is inside the LCD connector and you run power through to see if that gets rid of it, bad things happen. And it seems like it's probably in the LCD connector, so let's remove that next. But again, if you run power through to find the short and it's in the LCD connector, you burn a hole in the board. So it probably, yeah, it wasn't the LED driver. Well, I mean, it could have been. It could have been the LED driver and something else. But most likely it is something else. But that's fine, because that chip is $1.61 and takes very little time to put back on. This is the thing, like, I don't even get easy no backlight jobs anymore. I can't remember the last time I charged a fuse. I can't remember the last time I replaced a fuse. I can't remember the last time I had a no power issue that was fixable by replacing the TPS 51125. Like, I can't. Huh. So... let's see if it went away. Hopefully it went away. Go back to the multimeter view. Okay, what do I get? And still shorted. Oh boy. This is gonna... so this means that... okay, you remember what I said, how I don't run power through to find the short because if it's in the LCD connector on the backlight rail, bad things happen? Well, the reason that it's doing this now is because I want to do a video. And as I say, when I want to do a video, the stars align to make me look like an idiot. Which is just lovely. Alright, so what I'm doing right now is I'm just removing all the old cruddy lead-free solder from the LCD connector and from the LED driver, since I'm going to have to put that shit back on. Blah. Okay, let's continue in our quest. So it can be output capacitors. Let's just knock those off. It's probably not going to be those. It's going to be the last thing I remove. And let's go to output capacitor in a second. Still shorted. So now I remove the larger output capacitors, and if that doesn't fix it, then I will start running power. Of course, it's not going to be what it is 99% of the fucking time because I'm doing a video. Shit never ceases to amaze me. So I'm removing... Oh. Probably put it so that you can see. So yeah, that's... I don't need a microscope to remove stuff that's this big though. So those are the two output caps on the backlight circuit. This is it. And let's see. Yeah, you see that? That means that this is probably my problem. Which again, 99.999% of the fucking time it's not this. Because I'm doing a video. It's gonna be this. I gotta fix the wireframe in this mic so that it stays by my mouth. So, then the short's gonna be gone probably, which means I gotta put all that shit back on that I took off, doesn't it? Of course it's gone! Of course it's the thing that it never is because I'm doing a mother... Oh, piece of shit. Alright. Okay, let's go to putting on everything that I took off. Now, the right thing to do, the absolute positively right thing to do is to flatten the pads, to not keep them tinned, so that everything is the right size. What I'm going to do, since I took everything off and I want to save time, and I know damn well how to solder a chip with only 25 balls that's this small. I'm just going to put this on top of that. Yep, I'm evil. I know. I know. Troll your heart out. I suck at my crap. Blah, blah, blah. Alright. There are some chips where if it's tinned, it really does screw it up. And this is not one of them, and I know that from experience. So I'm just kind of doing what I want. See, it's dancing. 1, 2, 3. 3 seconds of dancing, and I'm happy. Okay, now let's put the LCD connector back on that I decided to rip off because I'm an idiot. Okay, LCD connector. Let's move this in so I get some space. Let's move the old solder from there. Can't believe I removed all that shit when it was... You gotta realize that it is never the output capacitor, like 99.99999% of the fucking time. It's not that. It's just that because of this video. And you would have been able to tell that with the short test immediately, with the, putting power on there. See, it's when I don't decide to use the power supply to find the short, that the short is going to be somewhere where it would have been safe. And it's when I do decide to use the power supply to find the short that I'm gonna burn a hole in the fucking motherboard. Oh, man. Can't make this shit up. Okay, let's find a board I can steal that stuff from. I actually have a 3115 here that I'm using as a donor board for the SMC. And I've got... Yeah, it has caps on it. Beautiful. Wait a second. The cap is worse than... You see this? Oh, hell no. Next. Whoa, that is not going back on. Okay, next. Those look even worse. Next. Stolen. 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 Dude, there is so much shit that has been stolen from all of the boards that are in my pile of donors. So much that has been stolen that if you actually threw this away and you did not throw it into an e-waste container, I don't even think you'd get in trouble for illegally disposing of e-waste. Like, my boards don't even qualify as e-waste anymore. They're just waste. I mean, there's... Okay. Good, get on there. Next. Get on there. Okay, LCD connector. This is the real fun because I don't have my flux syringe anymore. I really do have to get another one of those. Okay. Oh, and I also accidentally got the LCD connectors that don't have those little hooks, so I got to align it manually. So you see how there's holes by the LCD connector, like the upper left corner over here and here. So for the newer boards, they have these LCD connectors that I love that have those there so that you don't have to do any work in aligning it. It just kind of aligns itself for you, which is, you know. And I'm always for somebody else doing the work. Like I don't see there to be any reason for you to do work when something else will do it for you. So we're gonna just clean this up. Make it nice and clean. My ESD safe sparkle paper towel from Amazon will make sure that that is nice and clean. My ESD safe paper towel. Oh man. I should tell you what I think about ESD. Okay. Okay, until I get a new syringe for my flux. So I lost my others at the classes. I'm using my tweezers, which is awful. This is a terrible way to apply flux. Please do not follow my awful example. Oh yeah, this is not the way to do it. You have to be feeling sick at the way that I'm applying flux right now. I really do need to remember to order that. And look, I let a little wire onto the board. I don't really care if I make a mess right now because all these boards like that I do this kind of work on, I dumped them into the cleaner anyway when they're completed. So it can look like total shit right now. I don't care because the customer is never going to see that. Like, I mean, when people say there's excess flux, I mean, you know, they do make things that will clean that off, believe it or not. So again, you want to push down on the connector as hard as you can without destroying the board. The whole idea here is to make the pins of the LCD connector stay really flat onto the board. So that when you solder, it's kind of, I mean, in an ideal world it would work like this. In an ideal world, you've pushed your connector onto the board so hard that without even soldering your joints, it would work. That's what you're looking for. You want that type of connection where you don't even have to solder and your joints work just fine. That would be ideal. So like that connector is pushing on the board, you turn it on, you use it, and everything is good and beautiful. But you know, the solder is really just completing what's already there. It's not what is being used to make the connection. That's the way I see it. Anyway, so now we're going to change over to my curvy tip. Love the curvy tip. And we'll get started. This is way too big solder for this application, but it's working. Okay, we're gonna go by each pin. Let's get the right solder for this application, which is something that's much smaller. Keep in mind, we didn't actually have to take this off. I put a little bit of extra safety when I'm working with the backlight circuit because I know how easy it is to destroy this. And here's the thing, you may say, okay, well you don't need to use 12 volts or 40 volts or whatever because it's the backlight circuit. You can start with 1 volt or 2 volt and then see what's getting hot. That's the thing, you're not going to feel the connector getting hot. The connector is a big hunk of metal, it's not a component. Right? You know, you're not going to know that it's that until you see a little hole in your board. Oh, I love Amtech Flux, look at that. Doesn't even need a second application. Well, just as I said that, it kind of needs a second application, but meh. Notice that most of the time I'm not using the tip of the iron, I'm using the elbow of it. Because the tip of these really fine irons, it doesn't get hotter. You don't have the solder move to it the same way that it moves to the elbow, because there's more heat at the elbow. So understanding how your tip works is an important thing. Yoink. I just made a mess. And I fixed it. Okay, there's one LED return pin over there that I did an awful job on. Okay, flowed. Flowed. Clean the fluxoid so that I can see it and do my joint test. This hot air is not at a temperature where it can melt solder, it's just at a temperature where it'll make the flux easier to move away with my ESD safe sparkle paper towel. Why don't you get a brush? The brush don't clean the same way, mofo. You should get this special brush. I don't want the brush. Fuck you. So many trolling comments with that. Why do you care? Why does it bother you so much when you see me use something? Okay. So the sparkle paper towel has a little bit of the fibers that the usual paper towels that I use don't. Okay. Point taken. Point taken, you fucking YouTube troll. Point taken. That's all going to come off with toothbrush, alcohol, and the cleaner. The ultrasonic cleaner makes all of that humble. Okay, joint is good. I'm coming up on a joint that I don't really trust. I'll go over that one again, even though it passed my little test here. Okay, and then all that's left is fuse and output caps. Let's get that fuse off. Say goodbye, fuse. Okay, new fuse on. Come on, stop sticking to my tweezer. That gets rid of that stupid myth that you need a hot air station to do a fuse. So for all you people, when I say replace the fuse, do not jump it with a wire. I can't because I don't have the tool you do. Yeah, if you want to make it like sit perfect, okay, hot air. You don't even need hot air for that. You just need flux and a proper method of applying it with the regular iron. But really, you can totally do that with the regular iron. I just did it. I just showed you. Okay, now for this nasty pile. Now to fix what the actual fucking problem was the entire time. Let's get rid of the lead-free solder that was on the pad. It's all going to get sucked up into that ball that's on the elbow, and then we whisk away. I should be using the flat tip for this, but it's not that critical. Look away. Okay. Now, tin the pads and get ready for my new capacitor. Heat the pad, then rush the solder in. Heat the pad, then rush the solder in. Heat the pad, then rush the solder in. You don't want to do this thing where, you know, you're putting, like you put solder on the tip of your iron and then you touch it there, because then it won't, the flux won't will activate prematurely, and then you'll have no flux left on the inside the solder, and then it won't flow, and you'll get a shitty joint. Okay, now for a board that I can steal those two from. Here we go, the board that I'm stealing the SMC from. I've already stolen the caps from that one. How about this one? Huh. Terrible. Slightly less terrible. You can't even see that. Here. Now you control. The main idea is to get it as close is to get it pushed on the board, because you can always fix what the solder looks like on the side later, but it has to be flat on the board, because if it's not, then you get leverage where it can easily fall off, and if it's tapped. If it's flat on the board, it's going to be really hard to knock that thing off. And by the way, this is not the way to apply flux. Don't follow this shit example. You use a proper syringe with a proper tip. This is this bullshit. But it works. Until I remember to buy the syringes. A lot of things that you have to remember to do if you're me, so. The things that are really not crazy important kind of get tossed to the wayside. Okay. I'm ready to show that this has a backlight. I'm also ready to clean my desk. One of the most important things in this business is to have the desk that's not a mess. Because once you let your desk become a mess, this is what you're looking at all day, and your brain starts to mimic what's in front of you. So if your desk is a mess, then your brain becomes a mess, and we make money ultimately using our brain. You know, I said one time that I suck at soldering, and then somebody said, no, you don't. You make a living at it. And then Sonny, who was with me, who is allowed to make these jokes, said something like, no, if Lewis made a living off of his soldering, he would be bankrupt. Lewis makes a living off of his brain. Which is correct. You know, you make a living off of your brain. So your desk cannot be a mess. If your desk is a mess, then your life becomes a mess, and that's no good. So as I'm working, I always try to clean my desk up. If I notice that it's starting to become a mess, I will start to clean it so that it is not a mess, because again, I need my brain to be in tip-top shape, and I just can't let everything go to shit in front of me. So we're going to get a ram stick. I got my test ram stick in here. DC inboard. And if this works, I'm going to throw it in the ultrasonic, brush off the junk. Okay, let's plug this in and hope to not have fire. There's no reason for those caps to go, by the way. They just go when, you know, when they feel like. It's not like water doesn't do that. Plugging your screen in upside down doesn't do that. It just means that you're really unlucky. Okay, you can see I have a light, which means I'm set. I should probably actually show you what went on in the circuit. So usually it's either the LCD connector, which is up here, CPPV out SW backlight. It can be this capacitor, which it never ever is. It could be the LED driver chip over here. It could be one of these output capacitors, which again it never is except for now. Or it could be inside the board. So this time it was one of these two output capacitors. I didn't bother checking which, I just replaced them both because it's easy and they cost virtually nothing. And that was it. And when I was done, I had a working board. So again, no backlight, now I have backlight, now customer is happy. Well, I can't say the customer is happy, but customer has a working computer and that's really all I give a shit about. And I'm set. Hope you learned something.